How often do you find yourself scrolling through social media, looking at someone else's life and thinking, why doesn't my life look like that? How often do you catch yourself comparing your achievements to those of others, feeling a quiet sense of dissatisfaction creeping in? Do you look at others who seem to have it all, the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect relationship, and feel like you're falling short? This feeling, this silent killer of your happiness, is driven by one of the most destructive mechanisms we engage with daily: comparison. In today's world, comparison is ubiquitous. It's in every magazine, every social media feed, every conversation we have. Whether you realize it or not, it shapes how you see yourself and how you view your place in the world. The problem is, it's a sneaky and silent force. It doesn't always announce itself, but every time you measure yourself against someone else, you're slowly eroding your sense of self-worth, your peace, and your happiness. Let's think about it. Why do we compare ourselves? Why is it that we can't seem to avoid it, even though it brings us so much pain? At its core, comparison is a survival mechanism. It's natural for humans to compare themselves to others in order to evaluate their own status in society. In the primitive world, this made sense. If you were a hunter-gatherer, comparing yourself to the strongest or most skilled in the tribe would help you assess your position and your potential for survival. But in today's modern world, that same instinct is no longer serving us. In fact, it's slowly and quietly killing our joy and our peace. Understanding the psychological forces at play can help us recognize how dangerous this behavior can be. When you compare yourself to others, you engage in an evaluation process that creates feelings of inadequacy. But here's the twist. You're rarely comparing your true, authentic self to others. Instead, you're comparing an idealized, polished version of someone else's life with an unedited, sometimes flawed version of your own. Consider this. You might look at someone's social media feed and see them smiling in front of a luxury car, on a beautiful vacation, or celebrating an amazing accomplishment. What you don't see are the moments of struggle, self-doubt, failure, or loneliness they might be going through behind the scenes. But instead of recognizing that they are human, just like you measure yourself against an idealized version of their life. This act of comparison breeds feelings of inadequacy because you've set a standard for yourself based on someone else's curated reality. At the core of this mechanism is our deep-seated need for validation. Humans crave recognition, approval, and belonging. Comparison often starts from this place. You want to measure up, to be seen as worthy, to be affirmed. But when you measure yourself against someone else's standard of success, you're not honoring your own unique path. You're neglecting your true self in pursuit of someone else's version of happiness. And in doing so, you distance yourself from the very thing that could bring you peace and joy, your authentic self. Here's where the danger truly lies. Every time you compare yourself to someone else, you allow yourself to fall into a state of perpetual dissatisfaction. You feel that no matter how much you achieve, it will never be enough because it doesn't measure up to the success or happiness you see in others. It doesn't matter if you have a good job, a loving partner, or great friends. If you're comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, you'll always feel like you're falling short. Comparison also causes you to undervalue your own strengths and accomplishments. You may have reached personal milestones or overcome significant challenges, but when you compare your journey to someone else's, it diminishes the importance of your own efforts. You stop celebrating your own victories and start focusing on what you lack. This shift in mindset can spiral into anxiety, self-doubt, and depression because you're not acknowledging your own worth. You've become too focused on someone else's path to recognize the beauty in your own. The more you compare, the more you detach from your own reality. You start to view yourself through the lens of inadequacy and failure. Over time, this chips away at your happiness. The constant search for external validation keeps you on a treadmill of self-doubt and frustration, and it prevents you from experiencing the true joy that comes from simply being yourself. Social media has amplified this issue to an alarming extent. While social media offers amazing ways to connect, share experiences, and learn from others, it also serves as a constant reminder of how much you should have and how much you should achieve. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook present a curated, filtered view of other people's lives. And if you aren't careful, it's easy to slip into the habit of comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. When you see someone's beautiful vacation photos or their amazing achievements on social media, it's easy to think that they have it all together, that their life is perfect while yours is filled with flaws and imperfections. But what you're not seeing is the reality behind those posts. You don't see the sacrifices, the struggles, or the loneliness that might come with that perfect life. But because you're only seeing the highlights, you internalize the belief that your life isn't good enough, that you're failing in some way. And then the more you compare, the more you focus on what you don't have, the more dissatisfied you become with your own life. This cycle only deepens your sense of inadequacy, creating a negative feedback loop where your happiness is constantly delayed in pursuit of someone else's version of success. Comparison, in its essence, is a lie. It's a trick your mind plays on you to make you believe that happiness lies somewhere outside of yourself, in someone else's achievements, experiences, or possessions. But the truth is, happiness comes from within. It comes from embracing who you are, from being grateful for what you have, and from celebrating your unique journey. When you compare yourself to others, you're essentially telling yourself that you're not good enough as you are. This belief is a direct assault on your happiness. What if, instead of comparing yourself to others, you could embrace your own story? What if you could look at your own life with pride, acknowledging the progress you've made, the lessons you've learned, and the beauty you've created along the way? Imagine what it would feel like to let go of the need to measure up to someone else's standard and simply live in alignment with your own values and desires. The key to ending the silent killer of comparison is self-awareness. When you are aware of how comparison affects you, you can start to recognize when it creeps in and take action to protect your happiness. The first step is to acknowledge that everyone has their own unique path, their own challenges, their own timeline. There's no one-size-fits-all formula for happiness or success. Your worth is not measured by how you compare to others. You are valuable simply because you are you. How to break free from the comparison trap. Practice gratitude. Focus on what you have rather than what you lack. When you begin to see the value in your own life and appreciate the good things, comparison loses its power. Set your own standards. Stop measuring yourself by someone else's achievements or milestones. Define success on your terms. What makes you happy? What are your goals? Stay focused on your own path. Limit social media exposure. If social media triggers feelings of comparison, take a break from it. Curate your feed to only include accounts that inspire and uplift you. Remember, the curated nature of social media doesn't reflect reality. Celebrate your progress. Instead of looking at others' achievements, celebrate your own. Acknowledge the steps you've taken, the challenges you've overcome, and the growth you've experienced. Shift your mindset. Focus on collaboration rather than competition. Instead of comparing yourself to others, see how you can learn from them, grow with them, and support each other. If this resonated with you, I want you to take action today. Take a moment to reflect. What are you comparing yourself to right now? How is that affecting your happiness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's begin a discussion about breaking free from the comparison trap. If you want to continue exploring how to live a life that's free of comparison, full of self-acceptance, and filled with purpose, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We will continue this journey together, learning how to embrace our own unique paths and finally step into the happiness that has always been within us.